Alright, let's do this. The right way.
I got you, bro.
King's Corner Podcast.
Episode
5. Women versus men. Take 1. Ooh, that was clean. What's going on, y'all? What's going on, world? So we up on our 5th episode, my guy.
Sync up.
5.
All right now.
And we wanted to do something different. Women versus men. So we have a special guest. Allow her to reintroduce herself.
Her name is
Danielle Levien.
Danielle. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Danielle Levien, like we just said. Newlywed, got married 6 months ago.
Oh, married.
Yeah.
That's my
Mary.
best friend. That's my best friend.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
this
work
is-
with
this-
kids in...
Go ahead.
I work with the kids in foster care and adoption as a public affairs manager for Central Florida. So I do a lot of work with policy and legislation up in Tallahassee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she big wig.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true.
Policy and legislation. How is that, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, I just started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just got a
Just
promotion.
started. We just getting
I
started.
was a communications manager for 5 years, but I wanted to figure out how I can do more and really start to institute change at the ground level to advance, the needs of our kids. And so I switched over to the politics side of things, so that way we can really make fundamental change instead of just,
Wow.
small doses.
If it's still in the rap, we'll swap it out.
We'll swap it out, and what a way to begin.
Yeah.
A young queen in politics
Yeah,
Yep.
as a woman.
yeah.
How is that?
I mean, I haven't had an issue with it. I think it's one of those things that if you just go in and you act like you belong, you go in, you feel confident, people aren't going to question that.
Youngly?
I mean, I go in and I'm not sitting there thinking like, I don't think I belong in this room. Like, oh, all of these other people are like looking down on me. It's just like, no, you just got to go and like own your shit. I think if people
Wow.
feel that you're nervous,
Yeah.
that plays into it. But I think a lot of it really has to do with how you portray yourself, and then people will react to you accordingly.
How refreshing it is to hear that from a woman.
Do you typically not hear that though?
It's not about typically not hearing it. It's just given today's culture.
Okay.
And women in society, in the workplace, in the corporate world, or however have you. How's the best way to put this?
I don't know, cause like from what I've seen, everything I've seen is like the future is female.
Yeah.
Like
I
women in
literally
tech
have
and,
like a placard on my desk that says "The future is female."
The future is female.
like
Yeah.
girl boss, like all this stuff being about women's empowerment.
And it's nothing wrong with that. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, but the whole thing about kind of going back to what I said in the Black Lash episode about episode 4, Black Lash out now, but the women's empowerment movement, like, I love it. It's cool. It's great.
But
There's always buts.
I was waiting for it.
There's always buts.
Go ahead, nigga.
Okay, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Okay? But let's go into how Dave Chappelle said it.
How did Dave Chappelle
He
say it?
said, look, what y'all saying, y'all are 100% correct. But a lot of them are going about it the wrong way, because we have, unfortunately, in every group that is trying to bring a point across, we have extremists.
Okay. I mean, but like they're
And they
extremists.
ruin it. They ruin it for everybody else.
That can't be true though, because like I don't
Listen.
approach Christianity looking at it from the people who are like down with gay people, like those pigeted people. I don't look at Christianity as like the extremists as far as the KKK.
No,
I don't look at
absolutely.
Muslims as like ISIS. So I don't look at feminism as the third wave, like men are evil.
But I think a lot of people do look at the
A lot of
fringe
people-
groups as being the main. Like, I feel, not to put white America into a box, but a lot of times when
ahead.
you're looking at mass media and they're talking about Muslims, and it's like more journalists that go over to the right, a lot of it is about like ISIS and like suicide bombers. Like, you don't hear about like the average everyday Muslim that has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah.
Like, they very much look at, or like even with black people, it's just like they're the hoodlums and niggas and this and that, and it's because they go with like this very specific stereotype that has fit their mental model, and they cast that onto the entire population, not realizing that no group is a monolith. No one single individual or one single part of that group speaks for everyone as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She is 100% correct. But I stand saying the extremists of every group. It don't matter what it is.
Like, I said what I said.
I said what I said.
It's like I ain't backing down.
I'm not, because like, to me, they tend to kind of scrutinize the message in a way to where it's like, all right, like, women in society, the workplace, they need to be treated equally. They need to be paid equally.
Yes, sir.
All of that shit.
But
unfortunately, the extremists that they choose just to show on TV and on the internet make it seem like, all right, like a bunch of people acting like buffoons, which I know that ain't the case.
Right.
You should, as a black man, know that.
I know that ain't the case.
Yeah.
But that's what they putting out.
Right.
So for the irrational thinking people that are just like, oh, look at them, they just think, oh, they hate men, or what they used to say, they hijacked the movement.
Right.
They hijacked the movement into something else.
Yeah.
Which fuels mass media and feeds mass media to put it out however they feel fit.
Well, do you think then that it is mass media's fault for this portrayal?
No.
That they know that this is a fringe group?
It's a two-way street.
So you feel like it's the fault of...
It's a two-way street, because like, you're trying to progress and move forward.
Okay.
In your stance on the whole movement, whatever it be, in this case, women's empowerment.
Okay.
Right? And I, rationally thinking, I understand what point you're trying to get across.
Okay.
I agree with you. I'm 100% with you.
But
when you start acting like a buffoon, it clouds the rest of that out, because it's like, well, I don't want to deal with you.
So how are women supposed to be responsible for the minority?
No, I'm not saying that y'all should be. What I'm saying is, I'm just looking at everything. I'm looking at every piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
And I have to put every piece of the puzzle out there.
But then knowing that there is extremism in whatever group that people are part of, then why do you, knowing that and being a rational, critical thinker, as you just said, ascribe that extremism to all women?
No, that's not what I said. And if it came across that way, not what I meant to say.
I won't say all women, but to like the women's empowerment movement then.
I feel like that's counterproductive for y'all movement. I feel like the extremists are counterproductive to y'all movement because of the fact that they are so extreme that mass media is choosing to show the extremists.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, but that's with everything. I feel like extremists in every movement are counterproductive to what we trying to get out.
I feel like
it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks more on the to me, like, it sucks to see that more progressing in the women's movement, because it's like we know right from wrong.
But it's not like at the women's march, I don't feel like extremists were given that platform so they could be censored. Like, I feel like it's like, if somebody's screaming into a void and nobody's paying attention to them, then cool. But I feel like it'd be more media searching for these fringe people, giving a platform to them, not necessarily the women's groups in general.
Yeah, I got you, because
the more outrageous something is, the more views we're going to get.
Yeah, because negativity spreads.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Negativity spreads way more than positivity.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, that's why I said that it sucks that the extremists are the ones that seem to be put towards the forefront of the movement, which is not helping.
So what do you feel like
that was the point that I was making? Huh?
Do you feel like there's a solution, like, to prevent that?
I feel like there's a solution. Unfortunately, you can't control everybody. You can't. So I don't know what the solution is in that manner, but I know that is not helping, and I don't understand why they don't know that.
I think everyone at the end of the day wants to believe that this cause they're so passionate about, and they're advocating for it. They don't see themselves as advocating in a negative way. They see it as advancing the mission. They see it as getting the word out there. And a lot of people do feel like, you know, we've been talking about women's rights for how long now? Like literally for all of history. And shit still isn't right. Stuff still is not coming together.
Yeah.
So they feel like, all right, we got to do something like big. We got to do something major so people finally understand. And so I don't think that it's... they are, or any extremist group is really expecting there to kind of be a negative backlash. And some people do think that like any attention is good attention. I think they're just like screaming and just like want their voice to finally be heard, because for so long it just has not mattered.
I got you. So what do you say about those extremists, the whole men are evil, that whole stigma, because that is out there.
That is out there, but that doesn't mean that the vast majority of women ascribe to it. And even from like
absolutely.
the circles that I've been in, and you know, like I'm all up on the internet and like Reddit forums and like everyone else, and it's just like, I think women are also very frustrated that people are putting these extreme views on everyone and not just letting it lay with that small minority that happens to be a very vocal minority.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I said, I understand that, but I also understand how it could be viewed on the mass scale.
Yeah.
Which is why I brought it up the way I did. You know? Because, you know, I think because of that whole extreme ideology of, you know, hijacking the movement, it brings around that culture of not so much equal rights, but now it seems to have turned into women versus men. That's how I've been viewing it, and like, to me it kind of disgusts me, because like as a whole, like life in general, like I don't believe that a man is more important than a woman, and I don't believe that a woman is more important than a man. I believe that we were put here for each other, because we can't survive without each other.
Yeah.
Since we all came from a woman, got a name from a woman, and a game from a woman. It's Tupac.
I know. Yo, you can't go an episode without throwing a line in there, huh?
Nah.
I feel you, bro. It's so good.
Rest in power, Pac.
It's
I'm
so
acting like
good.
this nigga can hear me.
It's like, hey, shout out.
But, yeah,
Like,
you know,
thanks, Thomas.
I think you know, these things, men, women, equal rights in the workplace, in society, you know, like it shouldn't be a thing. Just like it shouldn't be a thing that anybody is still fighting for the equal rights for anything.
That it should just be like done by now. Suffrage was what, 100 years ago?
Yeah.
Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah, it was 100 years ago. But it's great that you think that. But with the way that society currently is today, and the fact that these are still issues, it is very clear that it is not the widely believed stance. Otherwise, more movement would be made. And people can talk out their ass how they want about it, but it's just like, you also have to like do actual action.
Yeah.
So thanks, men, for saying, yeah, women should be equal. Okay, well, what are you doing to help us out with that?
Yeah.
Where's your voice on all this?
Yeah, because everybody has their views and everybody has their opinions and stuff like that.
Keep that same energy in the voting booth.
Keep
Right,
the same
though?
Keep that same
Right,
energy
though?
in the choices that you make. If you're in a position of power, look out for
definitely.
those people.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, I mean, this shit is whack. You know, I'm raising a daughter in this culture,
Facts.
and like, honestly, like,
And she black.
yeah, but like, I feel like as a whole, unfortunately, I'm generalizing because it's hard not to when you look around, and you know, I just don't want my daughter to grow up thinking she's a victim all the time because she is a woman.
So, about this whole like victim thing, that is something I personally find really frustrating, because there's a lot of situations that women do have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because men aren't in our shoes, they don't fully understand like all of the context and all of the nuance that goes on there. And so then our experiences are belittled and we're called, oh, you're just playing the victim. Like, no, there's some real issues here.
No, I'm not denying that at all. I'm not denying that at all.
So do you
so
think?
Please don't think that.
So where does this whole like women like to play the victim card?
No.
Where is that coming from then?
That is clearly, to me, that is an individual thing. Because you can also you can flip it around on us on black people, just black people all the time. You know, we walk around with that defense mechanism of just being black in America. Like, I don't know too many black people that don't have that in the back of their mind. These white people out to get me. You know?
I don't think white people are out to get me, but I do know, like, I gotta hold my own and I gotta be twice as good as the white woman that's next to me.
Exactly.
Because color, at the end of the day, does play a factor. But
so you making my point in me saying that, you know, individually there are women around here that are, you know, well, I'm a woman and I'm in this man's world and I have to do this and do that, you know. But at the same time, there's people that won't be able to distinguish that, yo, maybe it's not because you're a woman, maybe it's just you. You know? Yeah. And that's
I mean, I feel like two things can be true though. There could be a systematic.
You're right. You're right. But two things can be true, but that's not the case all the time. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not the case all the time. Just like me being black, it's not the case all the time. But that don't mean that it's not the case at all. You know what I mean?
I don't know. When it comes to like victimhood, and I hear a lot of people talk about like, oh, we shouldn't call ourselves victims and all this other stuff. Like, I personally don't feel like it's a negative connotation when it comes to victimhood, because I feel like me personally, like when it comes to white supremacy, I feel like I'm a victim. I don't feel like that makes me lesser than like a white man. Like, don't get it twisted. Like,
I feel like acknowledge being like impacted and affected by something, and that doesn't give a negative like light on you at all, for being able to recognize that no, there are factors at play here that negatively affect my life, and being able to be vocal about that.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna hold my tongue with like messed up things that I see just because I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not a victim. Now bump that. Like, that's wrong. Fix it.
No, I feel you. But let's just put this small scenario into play. And we want to stick to the women thing.
Yeah.
So, you got a man, you got a woman up for promotion. Their boss is a man. Right? And the man gets the promotion. So, two things can be true. Maybe he got promoted because he was a man. Or maybe he got promoted because he outperformed her. Right? That's coming from the boss's perspective. Right? Now, let's go to the woman's perspective. Maybe she might be thinking, oh, he got promoted just because he was a man and I was a woman. But that might not be true. That's where I say the victimhood may come into play.
But that can happen with anyone.
Yeah, because that's just human thinking. That's just human thinking. But what I'm saying is, like, people need to be open to understand that, like, that is the case a lot of the times in this world that we live in. But that's not the case all the time.
But I think that people do. And I really think that you're making a mass generalization of, like,
no,
women don't get this. Or, like,
no,
women...
I am.
Okay, because
I am. But this is just based off of things that I've seen. I'm not just putting this shit out there just blowing shit out of my ass. It's just because of...
I'm not saying that you are, but I think you also have to realize that, like, women are smart. We're critical. We're rational thinkers. Like, we can see a situation. Like, sometimes it might feel like, wait, this nigga got this promotion over me? Like, he doesn't deserve it, but I definitely worked my ass off for it. Mm-hmm. And so that can be really frustrating. You can attribute that to being a man. And then there's other cases where it's just like, no, he's doing a really good job. Like, this person deserves the thing that they're getting. And so, like, every situation can be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm kind of like, what is the point that you're making? Because it seems just like women have to understand this in this situation. It's like, but we do, though. And there's some that might not. And there's some people that, like, woefully don't get it.
Well, this is for them, then.
All right. So, women,
this is for them.
You need to know that if you don't get a promotion and a man dies...
That was a simple scenario. You know? Just like you say all the time, two things can be true, right? So, on one hand,
shit.
yes, they can be victims. They can be a victim of some sleazy shit that men do. On one hand, but on the other hand, you make
I don't know. I just look at it. I look at it as
explaining that there are two sides to every story.
It is.
No, but I just feel like it
is.
I don't know. In a lot of these situations, I look at it as like when injustice happens. I look at it as a everything being equal type thing, where like if one man has this qualification and then a woman has this qualification and like their production level is exactly the same and all that other stuff. I feel like if that's the case, then their pay should be the same.
Oh, hell yeah.
But like when
hell yeah.
But when things are uneven, I'm not gonna open my mouth and be like, "Oh, they're just playing the victim because this, that, and the third." Because I will look at it.
Yeah, because you gotta look at it. You gotta look at what you're getting.
Not only that, but like I feel like it's a overarching. Like, okay, why is this person who may not have a master's degree versus? All right, so let's just say this: the man has a master's degree, right? And then a woman has a bachelor's degree, but then she has more years of experience in this particular field. And so you have the person who has the education on paper, and you have the person who has like the education plus life experience.
Yeah.
And so if somebody, like if the man gets choose over the woman, is that discrimination? Is that whatever? Like I look at it as like, more like a holistic.
Because you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is, and honestly, it's gonna be what somebody tell you it is.
But even so, though, the fact that like I personally just can't look at something in a vacuum. Like I feel like there are not only cultural standards that are played, but also like, okay, she may not have went to Wharton Business School, but that's because like the neighborhood she was raised in with like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like I feel like there can be a more complete viewpoint of a decision being made that can be valid for both parties.
Yeah, I got you because I worked in environments where, let's see, like as far as pay went, yeah, we got paid equally, obviously, because we was in the military. Work and production value was an asterisk, was and was not projected to be the same from a man to a woman. All right, and that's for obvious reasons, because obviously men and women are not equal. Obviously,
specifically like physically.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Right, exactly.
That's why I said obviously, like men and women are not equal for a reason, because we need each other. Women can do things that men cannot do, and men can do things that women cannot do. That's why we are not equal, in that standpoint alone.
So as far as the military is concerned, what happened?
So, we like physically we were not required to do the same things, as we should not have been, because, like I said,
physiology, you're built differently.
Yeah,
capable of different things.
But like as far as work went, when it came to work and with me, because I was a supervisor, like I would hear things. Like on one hand, I would hear a lot of the women that I work with complaining about certain promotions that we got, because I was an aircraft director, but you got to work your way up to that, right? And so when a lot of women would complain about, oh, how come there's not a lot of women directors? I was like, yeah, you're right. Why isn't there? But because I asked why isn't there, I started analyzing everybody that I worked with. And on some cases, it would be, all right, she outworking his ass. So, yeah, she gonna get bumped up before him just because she outworking him. And then in a lot of cases, I would see the opposite of, all right, you are calling the whole thing out of how come women ain't getting bumped up.
You being women.
Yeah. Huh?
You said you are calling.
Yeah. You calling on you on other cases. It would be the woman saying, "Oh, how come women ain't getting bumped up?" But this is the same person that's not doing anything to help themselves move forward. You know what I mean?
But are you, as their supervisor, also providing the feedback of how they can improve so that way they are able to get to that
I
level?
do that because I got overlooked for a long time and I was busting my ass. So when I finally got to that point, I was like, all right, my hard work paid off. Because I was looking at it to a point where it's like, all right, well, shit, I'm like one of the only black directors that been here as long, or black people that been here this long. Why I didn't get bumped up? Well, I was like, all right, I can't say it's because I'm black. We got a whole lot of black directors. We got black people in charge. We got this and that in charge. Am I not working hard enough? I don't know. Seems like I am. I've trained half of these people. You know what I mean? So like, and when you being like, for me being in the military, like I kind of looked at the whole, all right, you could be a victim, you could not be a victim, but like it was like I chose to turn that shit off and then just push forward and bust my ass however need to be, and I chose not to, look at that shit, because at the end of the day it's like, my hard work is gonna pay off, and I've seen and trained a lot of women that had moved up and they hard work paid off, and it wasn't about the woman thing. It was about, look, what are you doing, But then I had people that work for me saying, I'm a woman, I shouldn't be doing this stuff. And I'm like, all right, you're confusing me right now, because you're arguing about all of this stuff, and then when there's something that you don't want to do, I'm a woman, I shouldn't be doing it. And like that whole thing was just so frustrating for me.
But I think it's okay to have those honest conversations,
yeah,
and be able to say like, well, you want this thing, but this is what I'm seeing from you.
Yeah.
If someone wants to be at this level, this is how you need to be performing. These are the tasks that you need to do. This is an attitude that you need to have. And I think people are so afraid of hurting each other's feelings or like saying the wrong thing. Instead of having that conversation, it's easier to not have those conversations, and then it lets those perceptions fester of, well, it's just because like they don't care about women and they don't see us as worthy. But it's just like, but if you had just said, no, this is an individual thing, this is the qualifications that this person has, and this is what you can do to help yourself get to that level, that a lot of this would be, I'm not saying it's going to be erased, like people are going to feel how they're going to feel regardless, but there's just so much that goes on behind closed doors that people aren't privy to. And one of the things that I tell young people that are just starting out is that reality is perception. Excuse me. Perception is reality. I mean, and so I use the example with communications, right? So like when I first started, I was always on Facebook. I was always on social media. I got reported to HR so many times because people thought I was goofing off. And in reality, I was doing my job. And so it's just like, it sucks, but that's something that I had to be mindful of that what people think is what they're going to think is, or if what people see, they're going to think that is true, and that is going to be what is espoused to others. And so it's the same thing in the job setting as well with women. Like, if you only have men in a managerial position, there is something else that's at play there, and that means that managers are not doing a good job of managing their employees, because if they were, that would not be the case, and you would see more equality of that system.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest part of being a man, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna have to say a white man because I gotta be specific, they don't have to think about that. They don't have to think about that, because like I continuously,
you see yourself everywhere.
Like exactly, America. Like I continuously say, this shit was built for them, so they don't have to think about it. But the ones that do, we applaud you. Now stop thinking and start doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of conversations, Danielle, there was a lot of discussion about pay inequality and wages not being the same for the same type of work. What do you think is the reason why that is the case? Where like somebody, let's say Johnny and Jill, are both doing the same type of work.
You're just the white
Johnny and Jill.
Jaquan and Jaleese. Jaquan and Jaleese are doing the same exact work, but the pay is not the same. How's that?
I mean, truthfully, and I might have a very unpopular opinion here, but my thought is that as women, a lot of times we take what is offered and we don't fight for our value and we don't fight for our worth because we're so afraid of being told no that we don't even make that ask in the first place. So if I'm here and I'm getting offered $40,000 to start for my job, and I'm like, great, thank you, where can I sign? John is here, he's getting offered $40,000. He's like, no, I went to this school, these are my qualifications, this is what I want 48. They're not going to automatically just say, oh, of course, Danielle, you say that you'll take 40, but like, we're going to offer you 50. Like, no, they're going to give me what I asked for, because that's less than that they're having to pay. Yeah. Meanwhile, John is just like, he made his case, and it's just like, all right, they want him, he's in the door, let's go ahead and sign the papers. And it's like, it continues to grow, especially when you factor in, like, men are statistically more likely to ask for bonuses as well. And women, we just, again, either take what we get or we don't make that ask, period. So it's like that gap continues to grow. And especially once you get up to positions that are, you know, just at like more of like a higher level. And so while it sucks, like no company is going to offer you more money than you have stated that they wanted, unless they're going to have some kind of like contractual issues with giving you that amount. They're going to go with the least amount that they have to pay to an employee. So if we don't fight for ourselves, which we don't, which has been, you know, studied time after time after time, it sucks, but it's just like, that's on us.
So as somebody who knows their worth, because I know you do, like how has that process been for you? Like, did you have a transitional period where you were like, oh, this is how the game is played. Okay, now I need to affirm, like, I'm doing this. My productivity has brought you X amount of dollars this. So that means that my value is now this. Like, did you have to have that moment within yourself being like, oh, okay, I need to put myself out there more to...
Yeah, but it was a guy who actually told me that. I started my first job out of college, and they offered me a certain amount of money. And I literally was just like, great, thank you. Yes, I will start. And then I called my then significant other, and he was just like, what do you mean? Like, you should be asking for this. Like, call them back. And I can't even tell you the amount of anxiety I had. I was like giving myself a pep talk, like working myself up, and like in my head trying to make a case, to the point I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I should just go with whatever they said. And he was crazy. Like, no, like the worst they can do is say no. You already have the job. Like, what's the issue here? Yeah. And then I called back, and they were just like, okay. Like, it wasn't even a thing. They were just like, sure, like they had it in the budget, you know, everyone has the scale that the position offers, and I just accepted the lowest at that scale when they were willing to go up. But I would not have asked for it if a man had not like encouraged me to go and fight for it.
A lot of people don't know that.
I know I don't. Yeah. Like, even as like I remember when I found out like staging rates, where there are certain companies, I'm not gonna give names because I ain't gonna mess up my bag. Like, there are certain staging companies where the industry standard is, let's say, 20 to 25, right? But there are some companies where they will offer like, hey, so for this, it'll be 10. And like, I remember when I first started in the industry, like, I was starting out at, like, 10. And then I had somebody who had a conversation with me, and I was making, let's say, like, 15. And they were like, wait, what? Like, at the base, like, you need to be making 25.
Yeah, industry standard.
Right. But, like, as somebody who is not only somebody who suffers from, like, anxiety, but also codependency, like, it's hard for me even now to be like, hey, I'd like the industry standard, please. Because, like, my fear has been like, oh, they'll not only say no, but they will take me off the list and I'll have no money. But I like what you said about, like, hey, the worst thing they can say is no.
Nah, it's not in the
like,
budget
why count
or something like
yourself out? Like, let someone else do that. And, like, that's something that I've had to tell myself time and time again. Like, my dream school was Brown. I was so nervous about getting into Brown that I didn't even apply to Brown. Like, I literally did not even give myself a chance to be told no. And I feel like that's very, very popular with women. And I think one of the things is also, like, we tend to come at arguments from more of, like, an emotional standpoint of, like, a... but not, like, in our feelings. But, for example, I go and ask for a raise, right? It's just like, I have a family, like, this is what's going on, like, we could really use the money, and it's just like, no, like, you gotta back up what there is. Like, it's just like, you gotta go in, you gotta show your productivity, you gotta show, like, how you're raising the bottom line, like, what are you offering the company, like, it takes more than just, like, this is what I need, like, no, it's based off of what you are giving them and what they feel like that is worth, and you have to be able to make that case, and I feel like as women, we don't tend to think of it from that perspective. So we go in and we either don't make the ask, or when we do make the ask, we're not backing it up with facts.
So it sounds like what you're saying is provide value. And then after that, know your worth. And then after that,
don't be afraid.
Ask.
Don't be afraid
and
to
keep
hear
your
no.
receipts. Like,
don't be afraid
come
to
in
hear
with
no.
analytics. Like, I was able to go in and say, like, hey, when I took over your social media, you had 900 followers, and now you're almost at 6,000, and this is the value that we've been able to get from donations through social media because that has grown over the last couple of years. Like, you have to be able to provide, and, like, concrete ways.
I see what you mean. I'm glad you explained that whole emotional aspect because I went to it a different way. You were basically just saying, like, man, my kids need, like, some, some skates. But instead being like, no, this person brought value. This is a monetary thing. Run me that check.
Yeah, because
I started this project. This is how many foster parents that project brought in. This is how much money that has saved us from not having a child go into a group home. Like, you just have to figure out
that's dope.
What you think you're worth, but also stick to that. I think a lot of times, like, we hear that first no, and it's just like, can't ask again. Like, we know how that, like, no. Exactly.
You need one yes.
I like that.
So, all right, I got to go back into this.
Reverse.
That you, this statement that you made about a lot of women being afraid to hear no. And I need to ask, in what aspects? Is that in every aspect, or is that just in the business world? Is that also in relationships?
I mean, I won't speak for all women, but I do think that relationships
you
is...
can, though. It's okay.
Because, like, I know in my
whole conversation about a monolith.
Right, exactly.
What I'm saying is you can, but you specify it to yourself. Because when I speak for myself, it don't matter if I'm making but I'm saying if I'm making a generalization, I'll say this is just how I feel.
Okay, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is just how I feel.
I mean, I think it definitely permeates into all parts of life outside of just the job front as well. Like, it took a good bit of me being with my husband, and granted, my last relationship was very emotionally abusive, so, like, there was a lot that I had to overcome with that, just with, like, mental models and thoughts and that kind of thing to learn, like, what is normal and what is healthy. But even outside of that, it's just, like, so afraid of, like, telling him what I want if I think it's going to, like, make him not even upset, but it's just like, say I'm dying to see a movie. I really want to go see Frozen 2. That's not true. Just an example. And he's just like, I want to go see Ford and Ferrari. Like, and I know he doesn't really care about it that much. I'm just going to go along with it because, like, I don't want to make waves and I want to please him. And so it's just like, even in my own relationship, and, like, we talk about this a lot because it's just like, that winds up with me feeling a little bit resentful, which then just, like, continues to cause conflict. And so it's one of those, like, we got to work this out because otherwise nobody's going to be happy here. But I think you even see that, like, just with the initial approach of, oh, this guy's over there is really cute, but I'm going to let him go talk to me because I don't want that rejection.
Oh, I see it differently nowadays.
Hold on real quick. Can I see it? It's just really been bugging me. Like,
are you trying to unpop my bottle? Or are you taking off the wrapper?
No, I'm just taking off the wrapper. It's just like that's been in my head since we started. But yeah, that's it.
Son.
Sorry. It's really been bugging me. Like that's all I've been thinking about for like the past 30 minutes.
Son.
What do you have against Aquafina?
It's the label.
It's the label. If it was any label, like, it's just in my head.
Better not
that's
take
like
my damn sticker off.
You fine, nigga. Anyway.
We gonna be fighting. No, I'm just playing.
Nah, but you said you see it differently?
I forgot what I was saying because you just reached down with that damn bottle.
My bad.
I was talking about sometimes women being so afraid of rejection.
Yes, there you go. You're talking about men and women approaching each other and stuff like that.
I mean, but I'm also someone who's okay with being forward. Like, with my husband. I was definitely the one
She
that
shot
was
her
like,
shot.
oh, hey there, guy.
Hey, that's what's up.
And it worked. She got the ring. Hey, hey.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But
So with that being said, it's just, women being the ones who are more so like the pursuers is not.
Yeah, we just switched it over now. Okay, and I like
Nah,
this because now we get into relationships.
It's not common. No.
What? For
But
women to come
Women
up
being
in,
the pursuers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm married. Been married for almost 10
Almost
years
a decade.
now. Yeah, but I've been married for almost 10 years.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
seriously?
yeah, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely.
This nigga got married when he was a baby.
I know.
I
How
was
old
21.
are you?
I'm 31. So I've been married for almost 10 years. But prior to that, like relationship wise, I've never went after a woman.
Really?
Like, no, they always came after me.
Wow.
Like, yeah, always. So like,
Because
it was like, you're
men in uniforms.
nah.
that's why.
So like, I'm not saying like even now like I could talk to women. I could talk to them a whole lot easier now because I'm married. I ain't stunting them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's nothing. But nowadays, this is from like stuff that I've seen on social media, stuff that I've seen on TV and stuff like that. Like a lot of women have been complaining about they're single and nobody wants to talk to them and this and that and the third. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry, ladies. From what I've been seeing, most of y'all are beatboxers.
What does that mean?
You know what a beatboxer is?
No.
Okay.
Not in
'cause-
that context.
Okay.
Please break that
Oh,
down.
a beatboxer? Okay, I'm. You ready?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Let me
Okay.
hold on.
Scenario.
Jesus Christ.
Bar.
Oh, God.
Guy, woman. Guy sees a beautiful woman across the bar and he wants to go and talk to her.
Okay.
So he goes up there and shoots his shot, and she starts beatboxing. Psh, psh, oh, please, psh, oh. Beatboxing. And then these are the same women that complain that they're single. You know what I've seen from a lot of single women is they have this fucking list of their perfect guy, and they just they think that the first thing on that list is like. It's got to be at face value. You're not my list guy.
I don't think it's bad to have standards.
I
No,
think
I
so
don't think
either.
it's bad to have standards. I think it's bad to go out like looking for all of those standards in somebody. Like
You think it's bad to
no,
look
to
for-
go out and like with zeroed in on just that. Because the reality is, if you're zeroed in on just that, the right person, like if you're just zeroed in on finding the right person, like. I don't think that it could happen because you're looking for it. You're zeroed in on it. Instead of, boom, I got a friend that's trying to find a girl. Like, I want to find a girl. And I'm like, all right, what are you doing to do this? Well, I go out and I see all, I'm like, yo, you ever try going out and just having a good time and just letting the shit happen? As opposed to going out like, oh, tonight I'm gonna find my dream girl or I'm gonna find my dream man tonight. Instead of going out and having a good time and letting life just come to you. I really
So it
feel
sounds
like
like it's not a man versus woman thing. This is just a people thing.
I see a lot with women because of the beatboxing and then complaining that I'm single and I can't find no man.
But if I'm out and I'm open to a relationship, I want in a relationship, but the men who approach me aren't men that meet my standards.
I don't want no scrub.
But right though, like when I was single, I had like my list. It was this guy needs to have not just a job, but he needs to have a career. He needs to have his own transportation. He needs to, college educated was, that's debatable. People gain their life experience
Just
in
because you're
different
educated
ways.
don't mean
And
you're
that-
smart.
Because what?
I said just because you're educated doesn't mean that you're smart.
Oh, hell yeah. But I am smart. And I
Yeah.
know that I needed someone that was either at my level or above it. And so it's just-
Intellectually stimulating.
exactly. Yes. And so if someone's coming up to me and it's just like,
Hey,
hey,
ma.
yo,
Hey, ma.
got my gold teeth and what I was just like, no, I ain't understanding this.
That's preference.
Ain't nothing wrong with gold
That's
teeth.
preference.
I mean,
That's
if you got your
preference.
gold teeth and you're like 21, I think we're living some different lifestyles here that
I
aren't
got
going to
you.
be
Yeah,
compatible.
because that's preference, and then
But I'm not going to sit there and just be like, nobody loves me. Like,
yeah,
I know that the reason I'm single is because at that point, you have elected to be single. There's options that are out there that you have decided aren't right for you.
Right.
And you got to own that. But, like, you can own that while still kind of, like, lamenting your loneliness. It's not exclusionary.
Okay, and this is right here is a generalization, and I'm keeping it real.
Oh Lord.
I don't see many women that own that.
Okay.
I think self-reflection is hard. And I think that's hard for anyone. It's hard to think that, you know, maybe you are the reason for your own problems. Like, it's very easy to, like, shift the blame to, like, well, these men ain't shit, whatever. But you can also just say, no, I have really high standards and I'm not giving people that, like, don't meet this specific criteria a chance. I think it's hard to be able to just recognize those things about yourself. And so people just, like, put on their glasses that let them avoid it.
Yeah, which that's another thing that really ties into the whole culture of men versus women. You know, the whole men ain't shit or women ain't shit or men just as bad as women and this and that and the third, you know.
I feel like people make it such an unnecessary competition. It's like, why are we trying to talk about, like, how
boys,
bad
yes,
they
do.
Like, can we just lift each other up, please? Is that an option that's here?
Is it?
I love you already.
I would hope so. Like, damn.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's the option. When I say I don't think it's the option, I'm thinking, like, I'm talking about on a mass societal scale. For me and how I live my life, duh. Like.
I mean, but that's how change happens, like on a one-on-one.
Yeah, because, I mean, to me as a man, like the things that women look for in men, like, a lot of the times, when I hear a lot of women talking about what they want in a man, I'm like, okay, and what are you offering in return? Because relationship is fucking two people coming together with all of their shit and just loving each other. Just point blank period. So, like, listening to what women look for in men and what men look for in women is, like, completely different. And it, like, sometimes it freaks me out because it's just like.
So talk about those differences.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, what do
you think that women are looking for?
Or what do you hear?
What do I hear?
Because a lot of the things is like, this is what I've seen. Or this is what I hear.
The number one thing always has to do with finances.
I mean, to be fair, though, finances are the number one reason for divorce. So I think having someone on that same page.
Okay, so going on to, why do you think that is?
I think if you're stressed about money, that stress then manifests in other places in your life as well, and you can easily take out those frustrations on your partner. It's very easy to misplace, where those feelings are coming from, or not even if y'all are financially stressed, but say y'all have completely different spending habits. Mm-hmm. Say I go out and I'm not a saver. I get a paycheck. I immediately just go spend it on things that I don't need and aren't necessary. But then my husband, like, saves every penny because he's just, like, very financially focused on, like, whether it's building a legacy or, like, being able to invest and so on and so forth. That's going to be a huge thing because I'm going to be like, don't tell me what to do with my money. And he's going to be like, why is she buying this shit that she doesn't need? Yeah. There's a lot of reasons that finances come into play, not necessarily because, like, oh, you don't make enough. I think the attitudes and people's individual relationships with money is really the crux of it. I think if you guys are on the same page mentally, but you're going through, like, a difficult time, it makes it that much easier to figure out how you can overcome it and work together to make that goal happen. But if y'all are looking at money two completely separate ways, then how are you going to be able to come together and, like, find that common ground?
I personally feel like the reason that finances is the number one reason that marriages don't last ain't got nothing to do with the shit you just said.
What do you think it is?
I think personally it has everything to do with both parties being selfish and them actually being partners in life is not the priority and not the foundation of their marriage. And personally, I think if that's not where the foundation is, then of course the other shit is gonna overshadow that. So if finances is the number one reason that these relationships aren't lasting, then that means everything else that factored into the relationship before finances, because, like, when you really think about it, like that's kind of last on the list of when you start building relationships with somebody. And when I say that's last on the list, I'm saying, like, all right, boy meets girl. Like, I like her. I like how she look or whatever. Like, then y'all start talking, y'all start getting to know each other. You know, what do you like? Well, like, what do you do for fun? You know, and then y'all start seeing how y'all connect emotionally before all of that other shit comes into play. But now what I see is that's like the first thing that people look for. That's just what I see. That's the first thing, as opposed to like us just meeting and connecting first.
So talk about that selfishness that you're saying that is the main component that you believe finances are the number one reason for divorce.
Okay, so I can speak personally. You know, me and my wife have been in positions where finances was an issue, but you know, like not once was that like a whole, like not once would that have been the reason why we say, all right, this shit ain't working because your money habits is an issue. Like, we gotta get divorced. That shit is dumb to me.
But I think that you're taking that at face value and not realizing how much that affects other parts of your life as well.
Oh no, I do. I've been married for 10 years.
Right. So it's not just about the we're not getting along about money, like we're gonna get a divorce.
No,
it starts as like the root.
Yeah,
and that root, or we'll say like, I don't know, just for an analogy of virus, but that virus then starts to affect other parts of your relationship as well. It's not in a silo operating all by itself.
And I understand that. I just personally think if, you know, especially in marriage, if your relationship is what is valued first, then y'all will be able to work through everything else, no matter what it is. If you value your partner, your spouse first, that's and I'm speaking from experience. You know, if you value your partnership and your marriage of what y'all got into, because like, just like I said, once you start building relationships with somebody and you start falling in love with them and shit like that, like from experience, like, you don't think about the financial thing. You think about, I love this person. I love being around this person. I love how this person makes me feel. I want to marry this person. And then all of that other shit comes. So what I'm saying is, to me, if that's not the foundation of, if y'all's relationship is not the foundation of your whole entire marriage, then of course finances, or something like finances, is gonna tear that shit apart. And the thing about it is, like, it's not over after that. You know what I mean? It's not over after that. And now all of those memories that you've created with one another, all those things that you did, because it's like, I loved this person, but money broke us up. Like, when you look at the grand scheme of it, and that doesn't make any sense to me. If you, unless that was your whole thing about why you married this person anyways. That's just me, coming from being married for 10 years, being through all of that shit.
Well, as a person who hasn't been married at all on this podcast, I feel like I need to have something to say.
Give it to me, boy.
Go ahead. I'm joking. But no, I feel like I don't know, I've listened to podcasts and they talked about money in various different ways and talking about like what your money story is and looking inwardly, even before man and woman coming together and seeing from a familiar, I don't know, family perspective of how I was raised and how she was raised, and what that says about money, where I may be a saver because growing up in my house, money was cherished because we didn't really have a lot going on. And so I'm coming into a relationship, and by God's grace, marriage, being like, okay, I value money in this way, so I'm going to hold onto it tight. And then she may be coming from it in a perspective where she looks at it as, even if my family didn't necessarily have money, we still were able to go take trips and do all this other stuff. And so having a different perspective of money. And so I feel like with money being like the first cause of divorce, I agree with Danielle as far as a virus is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
But
100%.
even deeper, like that virus can bring up like deep hurts from each story where like she may have been coming into the situation where like she may view finances or being financially stable as like a way of feeling safe. And so the unsurety of it may be like, okay, I don't know what to do where I'm not feeling as safe. And he may be looking at money in the sense of like, this is how I provide and I'm not being able to provide. And so feeling like, oh, I'm less than because of this. So I'm not going to bite my thumb at the person or the couple who's not working out because of just the finances and look at it as like, oh, y'all foundation was broken. Because like I feel like if they have the right perspective going in and it has to be intentional in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it has to be an intentional thing because of default, I don't think anybody really thinks about that, to be honest.
But that's the problem.
And that's what I was saying. That's what the problem is that nobody thinks about.
People, in my opinion, generally enter marriage without necessarily doing the preparation it takes for a successful marriage. Like
the work.
We all joke around that like even my husband, our minister for our wedding was his best friend who like oversaw Gator Christian Life at University of Florida.
Go Gators.
And that guy has been married for like years as well. And so he could tell, he was just like, Ethan is the most prepared person for marriage I have ever met. Like we did studies together, like book studies. He was like listening to podcasts on his own from like different like ministers. You know, we took marriage prep super seriously. Like the counseling that we did beforehand was like very intensive, 9 weeks going through like different popular stress points and like making us look at our attitudes and perspectives ahead of time so we could have those tough discussions and tough situations so that way like when those things come around we already know where each other's head's at. We know why we feel the way that we do. We already know like this is a point that we're going to have to work through, and so it's not happening, you know, and all of us having to work on it like right then. And so doing that work ahead of time is so important. And I feel like it doesn't happen. It's just like, well, I love him and everything is going to work out. And so we're going to be great.
He's going to drag me like on the podcast.
You got to do the legwork to make it great.
I understand the point that you're making.
But.
No, there's no but.
I'm
I'm not even going to say but. I completely understand. Because just like I said, I could sit here and not agree with anything that y'all saying. But that don't mean that I don't understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I am. Like, I don't gotta, like, you don't have to agree with me at all. But if you sit here and say, yo, you know what, I got you. I don't agree. Then that's cool, you know? Yeah. And, you know, you went the marriage counseling route and all of that, and that's cool. That's great. You know, and I hope and pray that you and your husband have many, many years together.
Forever.
Ever. Me, I ain't go that route. Literally, like, I've been with my wife since I was 19 years old. I'm just putting that out there. I've been with her since I was 19 years old.
12 years.
And it wasn't like the money thing or none of that shit. Like I knew that that's what I wanted to be like, because to me, in my perspective as a man, what a man looks for in a woman, coming from me, number one to me is somebody that is like really gonna hold me down no matter what I'm going through. That's gonna be my support. Because go ahead and we can go into the biblical aspect where they said the woman was made from the rib or whatever, which means something is missing, right? Something's missing, and I felt like I had found that. That's why I married my wife.
That's sweet.
That's why I married my wife. Like, I've been through some shit. Like,
facts.
I've been through some shit. I done had my heart broke. all of that, and I'm so like, I know women have their hearts broke a lot, but what I see is, like, I see more hope in women. I see more hope from women that have their hearts broke.
I think men feel heartbreak more deeply.
Yeah. Oh,
I put myself out there, and this gonna happen to me.
I will be the first to admit that.
But I think it's also like women, we can go to our friends, be like, oh my god, and like shell it out, just get our emotions out, have our cry.
Niggas can't do that.
Guys, it's just like, gotta
Split a
blow it up.
spliff.
I ain't like, yo,
F that beat.
No, bro, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Like, I had my heart broken.
Yeah.
Stomped on. I cried about it. But it was like, and I was like, you know what? I was able to talk to my peoples about it, whatever. They was around and everything, but like, at that point, I had no hope for myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I am going to make it my job to never feel this way ever again. I've been married for 10 years. You know what I mean? So it's just like I had no hope for myself. And I found that with my wife. That's why I married her. And everything else just going to come right along with it. Like on some real shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what we go through. Like, I can say this right now. When the money gone, I'ma still be with my wife. Mm-hmm. I'ma still be with my wife. And I don't think a lot of women could, like, based on just today's culture of finances being the first reason for divorces, because it's a whole lot more things that factor into a divorce. And the fact that finances is the number one reason is crazy to me, because of my whole look at marriage and the institution of marriage. And like, just like I said, you married this person because you fell in love with them. You know, you fell in love with this person and who they are and whatnot. Now, there are cases where it's like, damn, the person I fell in love with ain't the person I married. I get that, you know. But for that to be a financial thing, to me, it's nuts, you know. Because like I said, you could be in love with a man, in love with a woman, y'all get married, and this motherfucker is just a abusive ass person. And it's like, damn, they wasn't like this before we got married. You know what I mean?
I feel personally attacked.
You know, I mean, but I'm saying it could be on both sides. You know,
yeah,
it's like, this is an abusive ass person. You know, because it's like, all right, how many people are in marriages where the money is great and everything else fucking sucks?
I mean, that was my relationship.
That doesn't make sense. But I'm saying that don't make sense to me either.
Who you upgraded?
You know?
Thank you, Jesus. Oh my God. Ooh,
Well,
you
do
effed
it.
up.
Hey.
Ooh, you effed up, boy.
But
You effed up, boy.
you know,
Shout out
get
my
what I'm
nigga.
saying?
Yeah,
you know
I mean,
what I'm saying?
absolutely. The
Like,
reason
that
we're
don't
saying
make
all
sense.
this
Like
is-
that don't make sense either. Like, so it's like, for finances to be at the top of the list, it's two sides to that coin. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, finance is the number one reason people get divorced, which it could be perceived as, all right, if the money's straight, then the marriage gonna be straight. But that's not true neither. At all.
I don't know. I just want to say that, like, I feel like, and I can only speak for myself, but with those vows that men and women take, where it's like, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor.
I take that shit seriously,
Like,
bro.
for real.
I take that shit serious.
Because, like, it's easy to say, like, yeah, I love you, like, in richer. It's easy to say, like, in health, yeah. But, like, it's not always going to be in health. It's not always going to be in richer. And that foundation, like, how Christ says, like, build your foundation on the stone. So when the storms come, it'll stand. Like, I feel like with relationships or marriage, when that foundation is straight, when we are both together on the same page, or at least open to working through these things, then I feel like it is a greater chance to survive. Because, like, I feel hope for those people who may have different money stories. I feel hope for those people who may be frustrated with, like, yo, this money ain't right. We have different ideas about money, but I still love you, and I feel like we can work through this. Like,
I think it depends on your view of marriage. Like, I am very much on with you guys, where it's just like, Ethan and I literally looked at each other in the eyes and we're like during premarital counseling, we're like, divorce is never an option. Yeah. Like, no matter what we're going through.
I ain't gonna say no matter what now. I'm sorry. Like, if you break my heart, it's a wrap, bro. I can't. I literally just said I'm never gonna feel like that again.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, granted, because like there's situations where it's just like,
yeah.
For your safety and your well-being, like, you need to not be in that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just like, we are going to figure it out, and we are committed to figuring it out. And relationships have their ups and downs. It's not always going to be like the roses, but like, we're committed to working through the downs when they happen, and like working through those rough patches. But a lot of people also see marriage as something that's just like one thing that like just blows my mind is when people get divorced and they're just like, oh, we broke up. No, you did not break up. Like, this is not just like this disposable relationship. Like, this is a broken covenant. Yeah. And so it's just, it's not seen as something, I don't want to say sacred, but it's just seen as like just the next step in a relationship. Yeah. And not like a promise that you have made with each other and with God.
But that's a Christocentric worldview, like, versus... Like, look, I feel like that gets into a whole nother discussion about what marriage is.
What marriage is and what is viewed as, because like, and a lot of things, like, and just like I said, keeping on the whole men and women topic, because like, you know, we have to talk to a woman to understand what, like, at least what a woman's view is. Like, yes, I personally, just like I said, I know it comes down to the individual. Yeah. But two things can be true. Men,
I feel like that's just the title of this podcast. Two things can be true.
Majority men think alike. Majority women think alike. Like, on a biological scale, like, it's just like, it's really like, it ain't no stopping that shit, you know. So you know, like, you know, and staying in like the whole relationship thing, all right, outside of finances, right? What do you think a woman's place and a man's place in a relationship? Like, what's your standpoint on that?
I think
real.
No, it wasn't about to go left. What's your standpoint on that? Because you have people that look at it in the societal manner of, you know, like the older generation. The man went out and busted his ass till he was fucking dead, and the woman was home taking care of the house and all of that, you know.
Which is a job.
And it was Yeah, hey, you know, it is a job, and you know
I
what?
got sisters. Like, I see what they do.
Hey, and you know what?
Like,
it's a job. It's a job, and I'm manly enough to say, like, I got a job and things of that nature. But like, as far as like the household goes, like, that role has reversed. Like, and like, I'm damn proud of it. Like, I basically feel like for the past 4 years since I got out of the Navy, I feel like I've been a stay-at-home dad. You know, and like I've been going, just like I said, I go out, I get my income and everything, but like, as far as like for the home, like, I could say I empathize with women that do live that life, because like, it's not easy, but men, the shit ain't hard neither. It ain't hard neither, and because I was raised by a woman. I was raised by my mama, so like, everything that, I'm not even gonna say like I look for like in a woman, like pertaining to my wife, but like everything that I know about a woman, I seen it from my mom, you know. So like I don't wait on people to like get shit done like around the house and stuff like that. So like, point being, when I was in the Navy, I got home from work like damn near 2:00 every day, right? So to me, it didn't make sense to wait until my wife got home at 5, 6 o'clock and wait for her. She probably tired as hell too. Wait for her to come home and make dinner and clean the house and shit. No, my mom didn't raise me like that. So I made dinner. I cleaned the house, made sure shit was ready for her when she got home. And I still do that shit to this day, and I don't have a fucking problem doing that.
To this day.
That's my wife. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me doing shit for the house to make sure my wife's life is easier? Because personally, I feel like that's what my job is as a husband, to make her life easier.
Yeah. And vice versa. I mean, with me and Ethan, it's definitely, I think for every couple, you have to find individually what works for you. And again, that's something that we also talked about during premarital counseling, like what we see as our different roles. But when it comes to what is in practicality and reality, you know, I cook to survive. He cooks because he genuinely enjoys the process. So guess who cooks in our house? Sure as hell ain't me. Guess who hates doing the dishes? He's okay with it. He does the dishes but he hates laundry. So I do all of the laundry. And so it's just like, you know, we find how can I best support you? What can I do that will make you feel loved and feel cared for? Because that is what I'm going to do. And
what is the most loving in this situation?
Exactly. And so like that's how you balance all that out. But even when it comes to like childcare, you know, we're talking about having a kid next year. Uncle Thomas over here. But
don't do that. You're gonna make me cry on this daggone podcast.
But like Ethan, like I love kids. But after a little bit I'm just like, you can go now.
Yo.
Ethan loves kids, just period. And he's so great, like, just the way that he interacts with them, the way that he, like, disciplines them. He, like, literally loves to help minds grow. And so, like, where he is going to be our stay-at-home dad, I mean, like, he does teletherapy and that kind of stuff, too. So, like, that will be able to, like, we'll still have a dual income.
Got no problem.
But it's just, like, but he's going to have that main responsibility. But, like, we talked about that to see, like, what works for us. But as a woman, a lot of this was also difficult because at the beginning, you know, when I felt like I needed to put dinner on the plates every day because that is a woman's role. Like, I literally felt like I was failing him if I was, like, super tired when he came in and then, like, he had to take it over. And it's just like, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, like, I felt like a terrible wife. Like, we had a lot of those conversations and I felt like less of a woman. I felt like, you know, what am I doing wrong? Like, why is this such a struggle for me? And so I think that as a society, we've like entrapped ourselves so much in gender roles and gender stereotypes that it's detrimental to both genders because, you know, I don't mind working. I love working. I feel intellectually stimulated. I would hate being at home all day. And so it's just like, I imagine me being in that role, like I would literally go insane. And so it's just like we force ourselves to abide by these things just because we think something is wrong with us if we don't.
As the person who is not married on this podcast, I would like to say something.
You can talk relationship, everything, bro. You don't got to be married to understand like what goes on in the relationship. Man.
The first time I really thought about gender roles and that concept was this episode of NBC's 30 Rock where Tina Fey's character was with James Marsden, and they ended up trying to do the traditional role where she left her high-powered job as a television producer and she stayed home while he went out and got a job or whatever. And they both were just miserable and realized like that just wasn't, even though it was like the traditional way, it just wasn't right for them. Yeah. So like I get what you're saying, and I feel like there is like a burden or a shame that is put on people who may not fit the traditional gender roles or the stereotypes or whatever. But, like, I don't know. I'm very much in the mindset that, like, if it's not harmful to yourself or the partner, then, like, who cares? Like, I just feel like that I'm not going to shame a man for staying home and taking care of their kids. And I'm not going to shame a woman for being like, I love to work, but I also still care about my kids. Like,
you know what I hate, though? When people talk about men with their kids, like, oh, he's babysitting. No, he's being a parent. He's taking an active role in his
You're leaving your kid with their father?
Yeah.
Yes,
but you know what? Like,
that is something really, that I do hate, though. That's really the
societal way of thinking, because like
I've seen so many commercials where the dad is portrayed as the buffoon. And it makes me angry.
Save the day
we see it in commercials. We see it in movies. Like it's crazy that like, and honestly, like we see it in commercials and we see it in the movies. But why? Because
the white man. No,
we see it because this shit is actually going on. You know what I mean? They don't just make this shit up. You know, this shit really runs full circle. But it's just crazy because like you see households where. I watched the show. I can't remember what channel it was on, but it was a social experiment They did it in like this small ass town in South Carolina, Yemisi, and it was called the Week the Women Went. The Week the Women Went, and I watched the shit. And literally, what they did was they took every woman in that town and sent their ass on vacation and left the men at home with the kids. And like, what I saw on that show was crazy to me. That these men, like, had no idea what the hell was going on.
Like, so you're just not gonna feed yourself? Like, that's
And like what what was so crazy to me was, like, it was crazy full circle. It wasn't just that these men didn't know what to do or whatever, but it was also that, you know, that these men, most of these men was so caught up in their whole societal stigma of, I gotta be the breadwinner, I gotta take care of my household, that like that's where my focus is, that they not focusing on the stuff that matters to me more than that, which is connecting with your kid, connecting with your wife, connecting with your family. You know what I mean? Because, like, at the end of the day, like, you chose this fucking lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you got to be all in on all of it. You know? And it's not easy, but it ain't hard neither. Because, like, what I always say is, like all of the solutions to life's problems are simple. But the process is everything but. The solution is simple. Now you got to put in the work to get to that solution. You know? So, like, just like I said, these men, they didn't know what the hell was going on. Their kids was going crazy on them. And then they were set with tasks that had to be done by the time the women got back. And it was crazy because, like I said, I had to look at it on every scale. Like, it's really hard for me to zero in on one thing.
Yeah, as it should be.
Because of the fact that, like, it ain't just me. It's somebody else. It's somebody else's perspective. It's somebody else's view. I have to at the least, I gotta sit back and at least understand where somebody's coming from.
Yeah.
If, like,
it's a little thing called empathy.
Yeah, and I could be in the back of my mind. I could be like, yeah, you know what? I don't really give a fuck about what you're saying right now. But I could come out and say, I understand where you are coming from. I may not care, but I get it. And because I get it, down the line, I could sit back and say, you know what? I know how to deal with this person now. You know?
I mean, that's me and my husband all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we argue, and it's just, at the end of the day, I might not agree with him, and I still might be like, you're dead wrong, but at least I get where he's coming from. I think that as men and women, especially in relationships, you have to take the time to really care about why your partner thinks or why they feel the way that they feel. It's not necessarily about, like, the argument itself. It's like the thoughts and the perspectives behind it, because that it's not just going to be about that argument. That's going to relation to other areas of your life as well. And if you can't have, like, that common respect for each other, then, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, nothing. Because just like I said, they sent the women on, like, this dream vacation. They all relaxed and they had all these serenity, and they talked to each other about their emotions and shit. And it was crazy because the men didn't do that. The men didn't, but at the same time, they sent all of the women on vacation together. You know, and I'm like, it's crazy how everything played out because, you know, they grabbed the women and they put them in a very serene and relaxed environment. And they took the men and they just dumped them to the wolves. And it's like, on both sides, I was like, dang, this seems kind of messed up. Like, but every part of it seemed messed up to me. And then it was like, when I saw that, I was like, yo, you know what? Like, that all comes down to, like, really people being conditioned a certain way and not just looking at themselves and saying, yo, you know what? I gotta live my life the way that's best for me.
Yeah. And
not how everybody else sees it. Because I'm like, yo, I honestly would have loved to see it in reverse. Because a lot of these women were like, they was like, I've never been away from my husband before. I miss him and this and that and the third. And it was like I noticed, like, in a lot of relationships, like, some people feel like they lose themselves, men and women. They feel like they lose themselves, and like from what I've seen, whether it be TV, movies, even reading, like most women, when they get into these marriages, they do take on that role of being the wife, you know, and maybe the things that they enjoy doing when they got married, they still want to do these things, but it's like, oh, I'm a wife, I can't be doing this, you know. And then you got that, and it's the same thing. It could be the same thing for men, and then that's when you get into like this conditioned way of living in a relationship. That's when you start getting into these weary thoughts of, oh, what if this, you know, what if I was doing this, or what if I, then it comes to, well, let me try this and let me try that, and then you end up in this whole messed up world. And you know, I think in relationship with men and women, like it comes down to like being selfish. It really does.
Yes.
That like they're both selfish and they don't realize it.
I mean, with my first relationship,
Women,
not my first
women more than men.
You know what? Let me leave. But no, so with my ex, and I use him because it was a significant relationship, and that like we were engaged, and I wound up calling off the wedding.
God bless.
But
I say God bless. Yo, you really wasn't with it, huh?
That
Oh,
nigga
he
was
was-
whack. Like
he
the
was
moment
terrible.
I saw like that his like pants covered his shoes, I was like, this nigga's a buster. Like,
But
Yeah,
what
he
was I
really
about to
owned
say?
it.
But like everything about us was his world because it was he doesn't like my friend, and oh, you're in a relationship, single, only happy hours are for single women. Like you shouldn't be out there. Like men are like out there trying to like pick up women. Like that's not a place where you belong.
Shit,
Or I don't
capitalized
approve
on
of
that.
this and that and others. And
your
so
hair,
there's just
and your blackness, and your
yeah, but
That
there's
nigga was
so many
whack. I'm sorry.
reasons
Go
that
ahead.
like it's just like I was so isolated by the time that I left. Like I was fully in his world, and so like part of like how we met is I had a friend, and she was like trying to reintroduce me to community because at that point I had no friends because he wouldn't let me hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
Everything would be a fight, and I'd be talked down to and this and that and yelled at, and like that just wears you down. Like it's exhausting, and by the end of it, like you know your own thought process, like you internalize those things that you hear. It's just like, yeah, she is a bad influence because this, that, and the other. And it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, you just get
It's
so
crazy.
enwrapped in the world. So looking at that versus where it was like I was in this because I was manipulated into it versus now, like, it's so funny because a lot of the things that you're talking about where women are just like, freedom, I'm never away from my husband, I miss him or whatever. It's just like, Ethan's my best friend. Like, I have so much fun with him. Like, hanging out with him, like, fills me with such joy that it's just like, I have to actively try not to choose him every time because if it's him or Ethan, I will always choose Ethan because, like, I genuinely just love being in his presence. Like,
Yeah.
and so I totally forgot where I was going with this, but I
Ethan's
think
great.
He,
Bye,
he's
everybody.
so- my husband is just like, he's just
How
the
long
best
you-
man
how long
I've
you
ever
been
met. We've
May?
only been married 6 months.
Huh?
Yeah, we got married in May. 6 months.
Oh, okay.
So he's, but like
Okay.
in general, he's just fantastic. So anyway, my point being
I'm
that
gonna holler at you in another 24 months,
Jesus
and
Christ.
see if we still here.
let's see about that. I mean,
See if we
God
still
willing.
here. Hey, it's real because like you said something about a successful marriage, and like I look at marriage like marriage is a job, but to me, it's a job that is never complete. Because if you are with somebody and you married to somebody, like every fucking day you should be working to make the shit better. Which means that it's never gonna be complete. And to me that's kind of like the joy of it. It's just like, you know, because if you got this set thing in your mind of what your wife is supposed to be, and like I don't blame people for having like that thought process. I get it sometimes. You know, sometimes I have that thought process like, dang, you know, it's just like my wife could probably have her thought process of, well, my husband's supposed to be doing this and my husband's supposed to be doing that. It's cool, but like the biggest issue is like communicate that, you know, so that y'all could get on that same page, because like I don't want my wife to think that just because she with me, she can't do certain things, or she shouldn't be doing certain things. You know what I mean? Because I really hate that shit. Oh, you shouldn't want to do this stuff. You're married, or you're a husband, or you're a dad, and I'm like, I'm still me.
Yeah, you're still a human.
I'm still
live
me.
your life.
You know?
Yeah.
Like what you were saying about your ex, you couldn't do certain things, or happy hours for single women, and then this and that and third.
Couldn't go on a vacation without him because, like, that's not what.
I'm gonna say some real shit. My wife will attest to this. My wife wanted to go out one night with her homegirl for her birthday. She got all dressed up. She was looking all sexy and everything. And she walked out the room, and I said, "Hey, leave your wedding ring at home." And she was like, "Why?" I said, "I'm not going out with you, so I'm not paying for no drinks tonight. You better get them from all them single dudes that's
You're a mess.
And I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking. I was like, "Yeah, leave that ring here." And she was like, "You crazy?"
Ladies,
I'm like,
and your man at home.
like, but you know what? At the same time, like, I've been with my wife since I was 19.
Yeah.
So like, and because I had my heart broken before that, like, I don't feel like I got no competition. Like, this is my wife. Like, you go do what you gotta do. Just make sure you come home.
Yeah.
You know? And like, if it's that, I stayed up. Like, she was like, "I'm gonna be out all night." I was like, "Cool. Call me when you're done. I'm gonna come get you. I'm gonna make sure you get home safe." You know? Because like the reality is, like, especially like in relationships, like men and women, like, they just approach the shit so differently. They approach the shit so differently to where like to the point of nowadays, like, I feel like both men and women just they make it hard for one another. I think we put these we put these stigmas on women that, you know, it breaks them down. It breaks them down, like, when they in relationships. It's like, all right, well, I gotta be this way for him, and I gotta be this way for him, I gotta be that way for him. But I also think that women don't think about. I think a lot of women don't think about the pressure that might be on their man in a relationship. I personally, like, feel, and I'm generalizing, that majority of women in relationships only care about themselves.
That's a huge generalization.
It is. I
object to every single
But the
thing
reason
about that
reason I say this is because
it's almost over. We're gonna be here for another hour. God
it's
dang.
cool, man. It's cool. That's why we got this, bro.
level.
This is why I feel this way. Like, most relationships that I've seen end was because the woman wasn't happy. Most relationships that I've seen end is because she wasn't happy.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, why are you not happy? What was making you unhappy? Have you once voiced this to your partner that you chose to stay with or be married to? No, you haven't done any of these things. So, in turn, that says to me that you are only thinking about yourself. Because if I don't know these things and you only know them, how do we fix them? How can something get fixed if you just keeping it to yourself and you only thinking about how you feel?
Right.
I mean, communication is a core tenet of relationships.
Yeah, and that's selfishness. And at the same time, like, as messed up as men are, when a nigga ain't happy in a relationship, most of the time they gonna go cheat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They gonna go cheat and try to keep what they got. That's stupid too. You know? So, like, it's just like, that's just what I've seen. Like, most women that I see complaining about their relationships do all of the complaining and don't take the easiest. I'm not even gonna say the easiest, because it may not be easy for somebody to communicate, but it's the simplest solution, which is to communicate what the issue is. You know, and I just think that's very selfish. A very selfish thing that I see a lot of women do is, like, they will hold all of this shit in, and then when the relationship is over, you know, the men get beat up on, you know, because y'all go talk to y'all friends about oh, he was this and he was that and he was this and he was that, and it's like, okay, I'm not saying that that's not true, but what they never ask themselves is, did I do anything to try to fix what the issues were? Because all I heard was the issues that you were having, not the issues that y'all were having.
But I think it's also you're hearing someone who's venting. And so people who are venting, they're not going to be telling you about how the other person feels and providing context. It's just like, no, at that point, it's just like you're bracing yourself for the emotional onslaught that they are providing you that's going to be very one-sided. So I don't think you can say they didn't try anything. Like, they didn't talk to their partner. They didn't do anything to, like, try and fix the relationship. Like, at that point, they're just telling you, like, all of the frustrations that they have. It's just a very short snippet. It's like one page of a novel that you're seeing.
You're right. But, like...
I mean, that's why they tell you, you know, that if you're having a problem with your spouse, like, don't go to family, like, because there's all this other context, like, you guys are working out stuff.
You gotta
the family
go to
only
them.
sees how fired up you are and you talking about, like, he did this and he ain't shit and blah, 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 blah. They don't know all of the other stuff that's gone in that conversation. And so they wind up having a skewed view of your spouse because of the select information you tell them when you're mad or when you're upset instead of the whole picture.
And the unfortunate thing is, like, what I mentioned and how I felt is because of what I see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because of what I see. And what I see majority of the time is women being selfish. Not saying that that's the case all of the time. That's just what I've seen. You know? So, like...
I don't know. I just want to, like... Just real quick. I feel like just to, like, wrap all this up, I feel like communication, how you said, is a core tenet. I feel like people being on the same page is extremely important. I feel like the admission of it not being like a
man versus woman.
But like them two coming
man
together.
And woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Woman and man.
And then also like, especially in relationships, but like most importantly in marriage, that it is work to choose to love this person in sickness and health, in better and worse, when you are mad at this person. Like, it is a choice. And then finally, like how you said, like, not necessarily going to family, but I feel like the admission of needing help, whether it's financially or communicatively or whatever, like if it's going to therapy or whatever, like that's not failure. Like, that's smart.
Absolutely not. That's progress.
Black people, get therapy. It's okay.
Talk space.
Hey, I got a whole different perspective on that.
And we'll talk about that
We'll
next
talk
week.
about that,
That's a whole other episode.
But all in all, like, women versus men, it needs to be looked at as woman and man. And honestly, until we do things like this, like understand each other, like that's really the only way to kill this whole woman versus man vibe.
And we need allies. You know, we can vocalize how we feel for ourselves, but and it's unfortunate, but, you know, we need y'all's help to also point out when there's injustices that are taking place. We need someone who is not just part of the population that's seeing that these things are issues, because we are, you know, right now, unfortunately, a minority when it comes to positions of power. And so those that are able to make change and those that are able to vocalize in a way that can have impact, it's like, we need your help to try and advance these issues. So that way it is a thing where we are equal and you're not having our fringe groups over here, like, espousing, you know, like, we hate men and that being seen as
stupid,
the dominant,
man.
you know, as a dominant perspective.
Yeah,
because
that's dumb.
That's not true, but people are going to speak out in the ways they think that they'll be heard. And a lot of times, like you mentioned at the very beginning, it is detrimental. So it's like, how can we make it so we're not even getting to that point where the extremism is coming out because it feels like nothing else is working?
Yeah.
Like, how we just, y'all, come on board.
Men, women, get together and get it together. Peace.